Guruji, for the uninitiated, how would you describe Sanatan Dharma, especially to our young brothers and sisters, be it in the US or even in India these days?
Yeah, well, there's so much information about it, and there's an acronym. You may have heard it. It's KISS. Now, normally they say that means keep it simple, stupid. I don't use that uh, explanation. I say KISS, keep it simple, sadhus. Because the problem that sadhus generally have is so complicated. They make the Vedic philosophy so amazingly transcendental and grandiose that people can't follow it sometimes. The terminology, the Sanskrit words, so many things, it's confusing, especially for our young generation. I don't know about India that much in terms of the exposure of young people in India to this culture, but I know in the West, because they've grown up in the West, they've gone to school in the West, their friends are in the West, they may not identify with all of that. So when we talk about Dharma, we have to break it down in very simple terminology. In the Srimad Bhagavat, it says, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharma, Yato Bhaktir Adoksaje, Ahaitu Kya Prati Hata, Yayatma Suprasidati. So the translation, the supreme occupation, Dharma, for all humanity, is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service and to the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So this term Dharma, and I'm sure our dear friend and co-founder of Vedic Friends, Jeffrey Armstrong Kavindra Rishi, he's done so much research in terms of linguistic sciences, and he understands these things from a linguistic perspective. And he's actually presenting some books in the near future that will help shine a lot of light on these words like Dharma. But in simple terminology, Dharma is that unchangeable principle of a thing. For instance, water. The unchanging principle of water is liquidity. It flows. When water becomes solid, it's no longer called water, it's called ice. Ice is cold and it's hard. So anything like that, you find this unchangeable principle. So what is the unchangeable principle of us? Because we're talking about Dharma. We're not talking about animals. We're talking about basically human beings. So who are we? In Bhagavad Gita, it says we're not the physical body. Okay, we think we're the body. You're from India, I'm from America, I'm black, you're Indian. All those things are illusion. It's almost like saying 1 + 1 is 10. Wrong. So if you calculate from a wrong estimation, everything after that is wrong. So if we start off with the equation, we are this body, then everything after that, meaning societies that we build, relationships that we build, everything is off. It's just off. So Dharma means, what is that principle? There's another way of looking at it from the Vedic perspective. It's called Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Sambandha means that relationship, but with who? Sambandha, Abhideya. Abhideya means that activity within that relationship. Once you realize there is a relationship. And Prayojana means that ultimate goal, that ultimate destination. So starting from the beginning, who are we? Once we figure that out, then what relationships do I have? I have many temporary relationships, but is there an eternal relationship? That eternal relationship, as this verse is saying, is in relationship to God. Now, that's a big discussion because people have different views about God. But from our Sanatan Dharma perspective, we see Bhagwan. And from the Vaishnava perspective, we see Krishna. Of course, different persons see God in different ways. Ram, Sringa, Varaha, all different incarnations, Das Avatar. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, which is one of the most respected scriptures, it says, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original Bhagavan. So that's something we can discuss a little bit more. So for our young people, don't be intimidated by this philosophy to the point that you feel like it's just not for you. Find the simplest explanation you can so you can get a grounding, like a foundation. All the sophisticated aspects of the philosophy can come after you have the foundation. So I'm suggesting that the first part of the foundation for you to understand Dharma is to understand yourself as a spiritual being and that you have an eternal relationship with the Supreme Godhead. And believe me, God has many manifestations. So don't worry about which one you're attracted to. Some people are attracted to Ram, some people are attracted to whatever. Don't worry about that. Just know that you have an eternal relationship with someone who's supplying everything you need. Think about that for a second. Everything you need outside of a computer or a nice car or a house, that's different. But all those real things, food, water, air, and air you don't pay for. It's incredible. One of the things you need the most, you're not even paying for it, but it's being supplied to you every day. It's not by the government. It's by the grace of the Lord. So those are the beginning understandings of Dharma. Again, I'm saying to the second generation especially, and also to the older generation, don't be intimidated by the vastness of this Vedic philosophy. I've been studying for almost 50 years, and every day, and I'm not exaggerating, I get newer and newer realizations. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes when we talk about the toolbox concept that I talk about all the time. So that's one way of looking at it. So thank you for that question, Kamal.
Thank you, Guruji. I think that's a very comprehensive answer, and it's very insightful.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.